right, welcome. So today I'm going to share the instructions and the content for the Building a City assignment. This is going to be the final assignment for our urban geography unit. Instead of having a test at the end of this unit, we'll be doing this assignment. So for the Building a City assignment, the instructions and the PowerPoint that I'm going to use to kind of go through the content is all on this slideshow right here. And then you'll find your actual assignments down here. So I'm going to share with you the content from the slideshow. So you're going to be working on creating your own city. And so you are going to pretend that you've been asked to design a new city in an underdeveloped region of your country in order to attract people to the region of the country. So you're kind of designing a new city. And although this seems kind of crazy that you would, have the opportunity to do this, this actually does sometimes take place. So for example, the capital of Brasilia, was a planned city. And the purpose of that planned city was to attract people to the central part of Brazil because it was underdeveloped. So you are going to have 3 parts to your assignment. It's going to include some brainstorming questions. So the first part is you're just going to be asked a bunch of questions, and the questions are going to help you think about how you want your city to be laid out. So you're going to get to create zones of your city and regions, sometimes where people live, sometimes where people work, so on and so forth. Then you're also going to be drawing a map showing the spatial distribution of your city. You're going to then you're going to finalize with a written description of your city. So in terms of the city zones, the first question, I'm going to pull up the actual assignment. So the first part are your brainstorming questions. And so you are going to be going through each of these questions, and you're going to be writing your answers in full sentences. So to start out planning, you're going to think a little bit about what is the actual physical geography of your city? Are there, and you get to make this up, right? So this is all in your head. Are there any lakes or rivers? Is it on a river? Is it on a lake? Is it on a coastline? Is the land flat or mountainous? So you kind of discuss what is going to be the physical geography. And then what is the purpose of your city? Is the city going to be a center of politics, culture, arts? Is there going to be big businesses there or big industries? So what is the main purpose? So oftentimes cities have multiple purposes, but sometimes they start as big industrial centers. Maybe they make a particular product. Maybe it's automobile. So for example, Detroit was a big automobile manufacturer, and they developed more industries, but that was kind of the key industry that really helped them develop. Then you're going to think a little bit about how you're going to organize your city. And generally, cities have different zones. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this here. So in a city, you oftentimes find regions of a city or zones of a city that are meant for different types of land use. So this is a zoning map. It's really complicated. So I'm not going to be asking you to create this complicated of a map, but this is a zoning map of Burnsville. And so what you're seeing here is different land in Burnsville. So here's 35W, here's Highway 13. And so if I zoom in, I can find Burnsville High School, which is going to be over here. And if I click on it, this is actually, oftentimes schools are zoned as residential, like where people can live. But if we go to a lot of where the housing is in Burnsville, if I click on this, it's going to be single family residential. So residential means that people can actually, people live there. If I go closer to Highway 13, this purple area, this is going to be transit-oriented development. So that's where we're going to find the bus lines. And if I go, let's see, where is Burnsville High School? So if I go into this red area, that's going to be a business area. If I go into this orange area, I'm going to find high-density residential, which is going to be oftentimes apartment buildings or condos. And so you're going to find different land uses in different parts of the city. And rules and laws kind of create what types of land, what types of uses different types of land can be used for. So this is some space that is conservatory or conservancy, which means it's a park. Okay. And they're going to conserve that land. If I go down here, I'm getting closer to Burns. Here's the hospital. This is going to be a mixed use land zone, meaning that different types of businesses can be there, but also people might live there. If I go more towards, office and industrial park, so on and so forth. Okay. So I'm going to stop there, but I'm going to go back here to thinking a little bit about the zones that you are going to be required to have in your city. your city is going to be required to have a central business district or a CBD. This is going to be the build-up downtown area that's the center of the city's business. So oftentimes, the downtown area is in the middle of the city. So you are going to determine where that CBD is going to be. Then your city is going to need a commercial district or a commercial zone. This is the area of the city where people will find shops, will find places, restaurants, and places to work. This would include office buildings, stores, malls, and restaurants. So you don't necessarily need to draw out all the stores and restaurants, but you need to have a region of your city that is for commercial use. Then you're also going to need an industrial zone. And an industrial zone is an area where factories are. This is going to include your manufacturing, your food processing, and your transportation. Then next, you're going to need a place for people to live. This is your residential zone. This is the area of the city where most people live. This would include houses, schools, places of worship, and parks, as well as apartment buildings. And so you are going to designate a place that people would want to live. Maybe that's more on the outskirts or in the suburbs of your town. Maybe it's not. And then lastly, you're going to need a mixed land use zone. So mixed land use is where the zones are off. So it's the zone of that city is allowing a combination of offices, stores, and homes. When you think about Burnsville, and if you've ever been to the heart of the city area where you have shops on the kind of the bottom level, and then up above you might have offices or you might have apartments or residential, that is a mixed land use and it's much more walkable because people are able to live there, but also walk to stores and walk to offices or work there possibly. So that's mixed land use. So the last, that's this part of this assignment. So you're going to need to figure out, and I have the instructions here and I have the pictures here. So you're going to write down, the central business district is going to be in the middle of my city, or so on and so forth. Then you're going to, it's going to ask you what unique features might you have with your city, what will attract people to your city, so on and so forth. And then and then lastly, for the question, how is your city going to promote sustainability? So that part I'm also going to go over right now. So sustainability is the concept that when we use our Earth's resources, we're going to use them in ways that ensure their availability in the future. And so urban sustainability are ways to design cities that work to promote environmentally friendly uses for cities. Okay. So there's a couple of ideas of how you can promote sustainability in your cities. The first way is to create some walkable neighborhoods. So sometimes cities have, instead of having everything be streets in between buildings, they have big thoroughfares where people are encouraged to walk places. And so when people walk places, they obviously don't, use cars, which are going to create more pollution. So walkable neighborhoods or bikeable neighborhoods or bike lanes are also going to be a good use. Transit-oriented development. So trying to encourage your city to have a subway or a light rail transit or busing system, although all those types of transit is going to create pollution. But when we have a lot of people that are going to be able to ride a bus versus everyone transporting themselves in their own car, we make it really easy for people to use public transportation. That's going to be a sustainable development way of cities. And then we have community gardens. So growing your own food, urban farming. So maybe you have a section of your city that is an urban farm or a community garden. And the idea there would be that people are growing their own food and they're having to import less food from other areas, which also cuts down on pollution. It also creates some greenery in the city. And so that is going to, create more oxygen for the city. It's going to make the air a little bit cleaner. All right, so that's the last idea. If you want different ideas for sustainable urban sustainability, definitely try Googling them. So then what you're going to do with your once you've kind of done all your questions, you are going to actually draw out your city. And so you're gonna for sure, these are the things that you must have in your city. And then you have the option to either hand draw it and take a picture of it. You could use Cami to draw it, or I also know that some of you have other digital art ways that you can draw something. So you're going to then insert the image of your city here. And then lastly, you are going to write a written description where you need to be a little bit creative of your cities. I am going to have below posted a couple of examples of cities that people have drawn in the past, so you can kind of get a sense of like what ideas you might use. All right, once again, always reach out to me if you have any questions, but this assignment would take us about a full week in the regular classroom. So this is a good chunk of your, like if we were, in a regular semester long class. So this is a good chunk of your week. So good luck and let me know if you have any questions.